I'm still a month behind with my games acquired and played videos, and August was an active month, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. As you would expect with the kids being home over the summer holidays, August was a very kids gaming heavy month. However, I did get a handful of games played with adults as well, which I'll get to in a minute. But first, let me talk about games that were acquired during the month of August. To get the usual Magic stuff out of the way off the bat, I will mention that I did acquire a few War of the Spark booster packs in order to grab some Planeswalkers for the decks that I continue to build with my Magic cards. With my desire to have a single Planeswalker in each of the decks I make, it's very handy that the War of the Spark boosters all come with a Planeswalker in them. Nice marketing scheme, wizards. I got back to Board Game Bliss in Toronto again, where I picked up the latest Clank expansion, which is called Clank Expeditions Gold and Silk. Now, I wasn't convinced that I needed another Clank expansion. I've picked up every single expansion that has come out for the original Clank game, not the Clank in Space stuff. I thought, yeah, I've got more than enough Clank to play now. But when I saw that this particular expansion adds both some interesting mechanisms in the way your routes can change, the pathways can actually change as the game progresses, and the two sides of the game board can be connected into a two-game sort of campaign thing where they're linked together. I thought, okay, fine, I will get the next Clank expansion and give it a try. So it looks pretty darn cool. All the stuff's already been mixed into the base game box. I have everything still crammed into the original base game box, and I'm looking forward to giving that a try. When I was checking out a different shop in London, Ontario, I found this game they had for half price called Loony Quest, and with the success that we've had playing Doodle Quest with the kids, I thought, hey, this one looks even cooler, and we have actually managed to play a number of times with this one, so I'll talk about this in a minute in more detail. But this was a nice little on-sale find while I was in London there. My last Kickstarter also arrived in the mail. That is to say, it was the only Kickstarter that I was still waiting for something, because I'm not Kickstarting nearly as much anymore between the poor Canadian dollar and just the way shipping costs have continued to rise more and more. I've pretty much altogether stopped with Kickstarter, and this was the last game I was waiting for. And it's one called Skulk Hollow. It's also a game that I'm going to get to chat about in a few minutes because we got to play several games of this one already too. So it's a very cool looking game that was nice to receive in the mail. And then the final item for games received was a nice thoughtful gift from some friends of ours who I guess were traveling on their own little family getaway, and they stopped into a game store, and I assume they must have seen this item being sold for a good price as a used game because they picked us up this game called Lungarno. Now when I looked this up on Board Game Geek and I saw both the rating and read some reviews about how the game actually plays, I thought, I don't think it's worthwhile even trying to learn this game and giving it a shot. It just doesn't look like the type of thing that I'd be very interested in. So I thought I'd put it directly onto my own games to sell pile and get a few dollars for it, hopefully, and use it to buy something that looks much more up my alley. But all the same, I'm very grateful to the friend who got that for me and their thoughtfulness in doing so. And that's it for what I acquired in August. So let me just get all set up to talk about the games that we played over the month of August, which is going to be a much bigger list. Alright, the first game I'm going to talk about is one that I picked up from our local public library and borrowed for a couple of weeks, and that was an old cooperative game called Forbidden Island. For those who are familiar with Pandemic, it's basically a very light version of Pandemic that is easy to play with kids. So we did get a play of it in with the kids, and it was a fun experience, although the kids never did request a second play of it, so I don't think it really thrilled them very much, but I still thought it was a really clever cooperative design to play as a family. And then to also get the magic stuff over with right off the top here, I will mention that I actually taught Magic to my younger boy, who's now 8 years old, after he was bugging me to give it a try for a while, and it went fairly well. He hasn't grasped all the nuances of the game quite as quickly as his older brother has, but he did enjoy playing the game with some help. And I helped both boys create their very first decks. So I had the older brother, Evan, put together a blue deck, and the younger one, Wyatt, did a green deck. And they've played with them a bit, although they haven't requested a whole lot of repeat plays. It seems they more enjoy the idea of having their own decks and their own cards than they do actually playing proper games with them. But we have done some, and it's been fun to allow them to play their own decks. We also got in a couple more plays of another fairly recent purchase, which is Century Golem Edition, and it continues to be a very fun one to play as a family with the kids. I also did manage to get in a game with my wife and another adult friend. The three of us gave it a shot. I've been wanting to try it with just adult gamers because I previously only played with my kids, and my friend thought it was an okay game. I don't think there was quite enough depth there to really grab her, but I would say it's good as a quick, simple engine builder. I'm not sure if it would hold enough interest with adult gamers over repeat plays, but it's a really fun game and really well made, so I'm still enjoying Century Golem Edition. Might as well talk about that Kickstarter game, Skulk Hollow, next. And it's one that I'm categorizing as a family game because, while I really love the concept of the strictly two-player, very asymmetrical games, in this game one player is playing a giant elemental creature, the other player is playing as a team of little fox creatures that are trying to defeat this large monster type of thing, and it's all based around card play and action allotment. And I'm in the same boat as I was with Century, where I'm really wanting to try this with an adult, but I'm just not sure that there is enough to the game to really hold the interest of a gaming hobbyist. Having said that, I have played it with the kids several times, and we've had fun with it, and my older boy in particular has requested it a few times. So I have actually managed to play at least one game with each of the 4 different monsters in play to see how they work and to get a feel for their different styles of play. And there's just so much that's really cool about this design from the physical components of the game. I mean, this is one of the best physical productions I've seen in a game. And you got to check out these giant wooden figures that represent the elemental creatures. Hopefully I can find a good photo from Board Game Geek to put up here for you. But the physical production is great. The gameplay flows really smoothly. It's quite a simple game. It's definitely very asymmetrical in how it plays. But I just don't think there's enough here to really hold interest over time. For now, I'll hang on to it because my kids seem to be enjoying it, but I'm not sure how long it will stay in the collection here. Alright, I'll talk about Loony Quest since I brought that up a minute ago. And this one has turned out to be even more fun than Doodle Quest, just in the way that each group of games is grouped together, where there are 4 missions that you have to get through, with the final mission being sort of a boss mission type of thing. And the kids have been requesting this one a lot. They've been having a ton of fun with this one. And there are some good elements in Loony Quest that allow you to sort of balance the game to give the kids more of a level playing field. So it's been super fun to play with them. Another fantastic little family game that we've gotten back to in August is Indigo, a very simple path-making game where you're trying to collect the most valuable gems by routing them towards your little home base areas. I played it with the boys and had a lot of fun with that again. A game that my older boy still regularly requests is Jager und Sammler, this Reiner Knizia game that's kind of like a Hey That's My Fish expanded. I think it's kind of funny that my 9-year-old enjoys this one so much and continues to ask to play it. I mean, I think it's a cool little game and I'm glad he enjoys it, because otherwise I probably would have sold it by now. And then the final one I've been playing with both the boys is Arcadia Quest, but now we are into the Pets campaign because we completed the base game campaign, and so now it was time to add some pets to the mix. And what we've been doing is we've each been playing with 2 heroes and then of course our starting pet. I decided not to play with the standard 3 heroes plus the pets because of just the sheer amount of information you have to track, and that's been working out just fine. And this just remains one of the top games with my kids. They just continue to request it constantly, and we've already played through half the campaign. I think we're finished 3 out of the 6 scenarios here. So a big hit with Arcadia Quest. We've got the Riders expansion ready to go up next, so we still have plenty of game to play with that one. Next, I'll get into several titles that I played with just my 9-year-old. My older boy is the one who's more into requesting games. The younger certainly enjoys playing along, especially with specific titles, but my 9-year-old enjoys the wider variety of different games that we have, so I end up doing a lot of two-player stuff with him. One of the adult games that he's tried, and we've played a couple of times now, is Naga Raja, which is a bit of a newer game for me. It's one that I've been enjoying a lot. I've also been playing this with my primary gaming friend, and she's enjoyed it as well. So I've been able to get this one to the table quite a bit, which is really pleasing because I've been enjoying just exploring the game and learning the nuances of that card play. Another one I was very pleased to teach my son was Le Fantôme de l'Opéra, which, as with Nagaraja, was co-designed by Bruno Catala. What makes this fun for me is the fact that the whole Mr. Jack series of games is amongst my very favorite board games of all time, and Le Fantôme de l'Opéra is sort of the easy introduction into that series. I think it might be even more beginner-friendly than Mr. Jack Pocket, because despite its diminutive size, there's so much brain-burning depth to that little game. But Le Fantôme de l'Opéra is something that's a little bit easier to get into, and what's great about Le Fantôme is it is also a game where you can really handicap one side or the other just by deciding where on the track you begin the game. So I'm secretly hoping he's going to request this more, but we'll see. I think he did enjoy it. I'm not sure if he loves it, but we'll see. Here's hoping. Now here's another one that's really geared towards my 9-year-old, and that is Brains Family Bergen und Drachen. And this one is another sort of route building game, but this is done in real time. You have to do it quickly and be the first to connect your routes. And just the way his mind works, he does really well with that kind of spatial puzzling, to the point where he actually won a couple of games against me this month. And I wasn't going easy on him, I was doing my best too. So it was really cool to see him be able to quickly work through those puzzles and beat me at this game. Another logic puzzle game that he and I played was this Codebreaker game / Mastermind. When he's the one who's trying to break the code, he still does need a bit of help to figure out exactly what he knows from the clues he's given at each step of the game. But with that help, he does a decent job of puzzling through it. Another one that Evan requests frequently to play is Dragonwood. He requests to play it both with myself and with my wife. And it's just a great little game of card play and dice rolling and a bit of push your luck. And don't tell him, but I ordered the next game in this series called Dragon Realm, which is waiting for me at the game store to pick up at some point next week. I think I'll hang on to it until Christmas time if I can keep it under wraps for so long. We'll see. I'm excited to see what they've done with this system and how they've developed it into Dragon Realm. And then he and I are continuing to work through Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, and it's just super fun because he's enjoying the book series so much. We're actually now more than halfway through the 7th book, so we've almost completed reading the book series, and he's loving it. So this is actually the perfect game to play with him because he gets to see all the characters and the places and the items come to life in the form of this game here. And it's such a great little cooperative deck builder, so it's been perfect and so much fun to play with him. I actually have the Monsters expansion ready to go too for when we've completed the base game. The other game that Evan has learned in the past and requested again was another Bruno Catala game called Raptor. And this is a fun game where one player is the scientist, the other player is the raptors. It's very asymmetrical. It's very hard for the raptor player to win the game until you really get to know the game well. But like I said in the past, this is just right up my wheelhouse. Is that a term? Up my wheelhouse? And then the last one, in terms of the games that I've played with Evan, is this SuperFooty Classic Edition, which, like I said in the previous month's video, is a game that was called Subbuteo in my childhood that we played all the time. And so we finally got to take it out and flick it around and play a quick game. Now I realize one important thing I have to do is I have to glue this large felt field onto a flat surface, a piece of plywood or something, because there's no point in playing soccer when you're trying to flick over little hills on the bumps of the folds of the field there. We did enjoy giving it a try, and I'm sure it'll be even more fun once we have a flat field to play on. So now to talk about the games I got to play with adults, which is always a bit of a relief after playing lots of kids games to do something a little more in-depth and interesting. Of course, my Magic friend and I continue to try to get our weekly lunchtime hour of Magic in as much as our summer schedules allowed us to do so. So that continues to be a fun experience for both of us. And then because he's very obsessed with the whole world and lore of Magic the Gathering, he picked up a game called Heroes of Dominaria, which I read the rules for, and then we played with the two couples, him and his wife and myself and my wife. And it was one of those things where the game itself was just pretty basic and a little bit tedious. There's a little bit of fun in seeing what cards you get and using those cards as the game goes on. But it was one of those things that was more just fun to do because of the people we were playing with. And the theme or setting of the game was kind of fun too. So just the experience of it was enjoyable. But that was more about the company we played with than the game itself. And then my primary gaming friend that I mentioned earlier, her and I got to play another game or two of Nagaraja. And it's just a really quick playing game once you get to know it, and one that we both enjoy. And then her, my wife, and I got some 3-player gaming in on a couple of occasions. Like I mentioned earlier, we did get a play of Century Golem Edition in. She wasn't super thrilled with the game, I don't think. I don't think there was really a lot of depth there for her personal tastes. We got in a game of Oh My Goods, which is a game that my wife has enjoyed a lot over the past several months. Now the thing about this game is it's so deceptive with its tiny little box and little handful of cards, but it is such an overwhelming game for a beginner to figure out how you get your cards working together to get your engine going. And I think that my friend found it to be just a little bit overwhelming, and I don't think it was really up her alley. But it is one that has been a recent favorite with my wife. Now, an old favorite with all of us, of course, is Gloomhaven, and we finally got back to Forgotten Circles to play another scenario from the expansion. I mean, Gloomhaven just continues to give after all these many months and countless hours of play. What can I say? It really is the best. If it were not for that extreme amount of setup and takedown and general administration that I have to do just to run a scenario, it would definitely be getting to the table even more than it does already. So to quickly review the titles that were new to me, we had Forbidden Island, which I thought was a very fun little cooperative family game, although I don't know if the theme didn't grab the kids as much as it might have. We had Loony Quest, which did grab the kids, and they've had a ton of fun with that sort of video game element of working your way up through 4 scenarios until you reach that boss. There was Skulk Hollow, a puzzling game that sort of straddles the border between family gaming and kind of wanting to be a fun little gamer's game. And I have heard some board game reviewers talking positively about it, so I guess some experienced adult gamers are enjoying it. There was SuperFooty, which I'll say is new-ish to me because I played Subbuteo a lot when I was a kid, so I can't exactly call it a new-to-me title, but it was definitely new to my 9-year-old. We had Heroes of Dominaria, which was just kind of a bland and uninteresting game despite its sort of fun setting. And then I guess August was the first month where we did get into Forgotten Circles here. And it sure was fun to get back to it again. I still need to find the time to paint up our new heroes though, so I'm not sure when I'm going to get that done. But anyways, that was my month of August. I'm going to try to get September released this month. But as always, I'm super interested in hearing what you've been enjoying lately. Are there any new titles you've discovered? Are there any old ones you've gotten back to that you've remembered how much fun they are? I always love to hear about that sort of thing, so please do let me know in the comments. Hi, it's Josh here, just taking a minute to ask you to push all the buttons. Push the buttons, like, subscribe, do the notification bell, all the stuff, all the buttons. Okay. As you might expect, did something just fall off my head? A handful of, what do I usually talk about first? What the f was that room called, for f***'s sake? Don't they throw it in the Arcadia Quest, Loony Quest, Skulk Hollow, okay. I guess that's stop and start it. He hasn't grasped all the nuances. Now the thing about this game is it's so deceptive with its... Well, the thing about this game is it's so deceptive with it... And... Oh, my battery's about to die.